Hello, I'm Patty, and myself, along with Clay, will be um, talking with you about sort of all the things we think about in terms of starting out your freelancer career and managing it going forward. We kind of are sort of presenting things in big, broad strokes, but trying to pick out a few things that Clay and I have picked up along the way. I've been a freelancer for full time for about 5 years, and Clay's been for a couple years. And for me, attending the freelancers meetup has given me so much information that like I'm always sort of rethinking things, but kind of trying to pick out some of those big things that we're learning and continuously thinking about and talking about in the meetup. Oh, next slide. Sorry, trying to get used to all my screens here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so the first thing, obviously thinking about why you want to become a freelancer. So there's lots of benefits. It means you have a flexible schedule. You are your own boss. You get to set your own rates. You get to think about the projects, the kinds of clients that you want to work with. And generally, you kind of just have more control over your day-to-day work and long-term over your career. Of course, there are some downfalls. It can sometimes feel like you're always working because you always have to be thinking about, okay, once this project is done, what am I going to do next? Or sometimes you might feel like you have 100 bosses because if you have clients that can reach out to you all the time, they're not talking to each other, so they all may need something done on Friday, and you only have so much time in the day. So, and just sort of generally, there is the lack of security benefits and sometimes money of a regular full-time gig. Isn't that kind of lifestyle isn't for everyone, but there are plenty of us that have been able to make it work and really enjoy it and sort of make it, a lot of, whether you're a developer, a designer, a writer, there's a lot of room for building your freelance business within the WordPress space. So, mostly I think about, having your own personal why as to why you get into it. And that can help drive you, help you make business decisions, help you find your niche within the space. And then also just keep you motivated as, when things get a little tough, to sort of keep you going and not throw in the towel.
Well, after you've kind of weighed the pros and cons of becoming a freelancer, and hopefully you feel good about your why, and you're ready to jump in, the next step to becoming a freelancer with WordPress is to get started. So there's a lot of places you can start. It can be a little bit daunting, but one tip of a place to start would be to just surround yourself with other folks doing the same thing. So our meetup is tailor-made for that. The other WordPress Seattle meetups are also great places for that, and there's meetups all over too that you can attend. And as you meet people, ask them, what other communities they're a part of and how you can be a part too. You might be surprised just how many different places there are where people who work in WordPress all day, are geeking out, like Facebook groups, Slack channels, Discord servers. There's all sorts of stuff out there. And when you're in those settings, share your questions, share your challenges, listen to what people have to say, and when you can, offer your own insights and solutions to problems that other people pose, and test your knowledge that way. It doesn't have to be where you start, but by focusing on community first, like when you're just getting started, it can really take some of the pressure off. You don't have to come up with all the answers yourself. Another big question as you're getting started freelancing, and really it's kind of a forever question too, is where do you find clients? So again, this kind of question is posed a lot at our meetup, and there's a lot of really great ideas and different experiences that people share. But just to highlight a few, one place to start can be really good is to just tell your friends, your family, your professional contacts that you're freelancing and what kind of projects you're looking for. Just kind of spread the word in that way. Uh, it can be really nice to get your feet wet with some clients that you already are acquainted with and already have some trust built with. That way, they tend to be a little bit more forgiving and maybe flexible as you iron out your processes. Um, Another place to look for clients, just clients lead to more clients. So this is something personally I underestimated when I first started. Um, if you do a good job on a project and the client enjoyed working with you, uh, odds are the next time they have a WordPress project or want some work done on their website, they're going to turn to you. And that's an opportunity for you to see if it's a good fit and continue working with them. And then also, hopefully, they're going off and sharing, with their friends, family, and professional contacts great what a great job you did, and you can get leads that way. Sometimes though, referrals aren't enough, and in those cases, you might want to join a business group. So this is something we talk about at our meetup too. Be in commerce are a couple of those, and people share their experiences and what you can expect to get out of that. And then finally, you can try to generate some leads for yourself with your own website and brand work. As you build out client websites, I'm sure you'll start accruing some opinions about the best ways to have your website achieve your own goals.
So as you build your clients, you're really the thing you want to think about is what's your business model. And if you look this up online, there's a lot of, places to go, and it can sound kind of intimidating, but mostly it's just how are you going to make money? So what services are you going to offer, and how are you going to charge? There's lots of different pricing models out there, whether you're going to charge hourly or value-based or fixed pricing for certain things. Also, do you plan to partner with other people, or maybe you need to outsource certain kinds of tasks? And then also a lot of us have found that, finding an ongoing source of income. So for many of us, that means offering long-term maintenance contracts or support or care packages so that you have sort of a steady source of income that's, not as high as a big project, but it helps sort of smooth everything out. And you'll find that you'll probably end up mixing and matching some of these things. So for certain projects, I charge hourly. For certain projects, it's just a fixed price. And then I also have, I partner with people on certain projects. I am outsourced for certain projects. So all of these contribute to my business model that sort of makes up, the whole package. And I think to sort of get there to how do you get to this, what is your model? Think about, what kinds of things do you like to do? So even, within the developer space or the designer space, there's a lot of different ranges of what kind of developer you are. Are you do you really like to do custom development, or do you really just like to really dig in and get into plugins and figure out the best plugin for the job? So there's a whole range of ways that you can work, and so it's mostly about finding what you love to do, because that's going to keep you motivated. And within that, what does that mean your ideal client looks like? So if I really like to do custom development, I need to find clients with bigger budgets. I'm not trying to serve smaller budgets, but there's lots of places, you can bust out a lot of sites at smaller prices versus, big sites at, at bigger prices. So it's just sort of finding the space that you like to work in, the type of client you like to work in. And that will ultimately lead you to your niche, I think. Some people talk about finding a niche may kind of limit you, but finding a niche will also sort of help you build efficiencies into your business. I think that also if you don't find a niche, the niche may find you. I tend to work in a lot of nonprofit spaces, and so nonprofits reach out to me to, for work. So um, there's also a difference between working on a nonprofit site and working on a small business site. And as you work with more and more nonprofits, they kind of tend to have the same kind of problems that you kind of need to help them solve. And so, you're able to reuse solutions, or kind of take what we did for that client and tweak it a little bit to make it work for this one. But you're allowed to build up more efficiencies and more expertise in that space. Um, and along these lines, you also want to think about what you don't offer. So you want to be clear with yourself on that, so that you don't get into a niche or the types of sites that you really don't like working on, because that's, that goes back to your why. Like, I didn't get into this to work on things that I don't really want to do. So um, being clear with yourself and your clients, and then knowing when and how to say no. So if someone comes to you with a project that isn't quite right for you, but you want to help them, that's where I think, things like the Slack channels and the Facebook groups and the meetups, like, to help you meet other people that are sort of working in the same space, and offer similar services. But, like, I don't love working with page builders, but I know lots of people that do. So, if someone has a page builder site, I can find someone to refer them to. So it's, helping people, you may not be able to help them in a paid aspect on their project, but someone around can help fill their need.
Once you have an idea of a business model that you want to start with and maybe try out, next big part of becoming a freelancer in WordPress, and frankly a big part of your life going forward, will be working with clients. This part of your journey has its own challenges, and I'll just name a few. One comes up frequently, that we talk about a lot in the meetup, is whether to charge for discovery. So this is like, prospective client comes to you with a cool project. Um, you know, you're going to often need to do some research to see, can it be done, what they're requesting, given some of their own, their pre-existing technology and those sorts of things. Can you do it? Are you the right person for the job? And then, how much do they need to budget for it? How long do you expect it to take? All that stuff generally will take some research to figure out. And, depending on the side of the project, that research can take quite a bit of time. Um, Maybe it's worth it if the project moves forward, but the client maybe decides to not go with you, or something comes up and they can't move forward right away. Now you've just done a bunch of free work, help them maybe understand the problem better, but you weren't compensated for it. So this is where, figuring out whether you should charge for discovery and how to do that, comes up and becomes kind of a challenge that we all work together to figure out the best way to solve. Another one is how to deal with scope creep. So this kind of problem comes up when you're working with clients. Maybe you've been working on a project for a while. They're really excited about what you've done so far, and that can lead to ideas where the client is offering, asking for a little bit more here, a little bit more there. Oftentimes it's in a gray area where, maybe it's related to a feature that you've already built or a page that you've already built, but it's a little bit more. And then oftentimes you might also feel very excited about what they're suggesting, and it's going to make the overall project better. But if you keep doing it and they keep adding requests, you can kind of get into this never-ending project situation where, are you getting compensated for all this extra time that you're spending? Is the timeline being pushed out? What are the expectations there? So that's another example of a problem that will come up whether you're working with clients, and there's various techniques and strategies you can use to solve these. So yeah, those are just a couple examples. There's obviously many more that you're going to come across as you work with clients, and there's a lot of different ways of tackling these. I guess for today, I'll just offer some kind of broad advice, a kind of a theme that comes up over and over in our meetup. And that's when you're working with clients, set clear expectations up front. So whether that's through a proposal or a contract or some kind of scope document, maybe just a well-worded email even, or any conversation you have with the client, and the more consistent you can be across all those channels, the better. It can go a long way, setting those expectations up front and reinforcing them along the way. It can go a long way to avoiding uncomfortable situations as you're working with clients. And for the couple challenges I mentioned and a lot more, it can make them easier to deal with if you've done that.
So once you have multiple clients or even one client, you start to think about how do you manage your time? How do you manage your time between, you know, planning out your next project and working on the current project and solving problems for past projects? So sort of you get to a point where you're like, I need to rein some of this in so that and managing my time has been sort of one of the things that I've been working on in the last year. Um, and so I've picked up a number of things throughout the meetups, but thinking about the types of tasks that you need to do, whether those are daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, and putting them on your calendar and blocking out time. Things like billing, billing takes time, and I kind of hate doing it, but I need to do it in order to keep my business. So I block out time every month to do billing. And when people ask, I tell clients I bill on the first of the month, so they know what to expect and they're not, asking me when am I going to send them the invoice kind of thing. And then so I kind of have, the tasks that I need to do throughout the year are already on my calendar. And then at the end of each week, and I do this on a Friday, I kind of look back at my previous week and make sure my time that I've logged all my time correctly for the week, and then look at what I didn't get done and what I need to get done for the future week and block off time. And I think, one of the things that we had Annie LaCroix come and talk about time management, and one of her big things was thinking about the types of tasks you need to do and what kind of time you need to set aside for that. So like for development tasks, I often need, big chunks of time to sort of dig into a problem and solve it. So, making sure that I have days that are meeting free so that I can set up, so that I can finish a big chunk of work. And then on days where I have meetings, that's where I plan in, sort of small fixes or things that I can jump in and out of that are, maybe more light development work. And then also as you're planning your week, making sure that you're not scheduling yourself for 40 hours of work, because things will come up, and they do come up, and clients are going to reach out to you. But along those lines, also making sure that you are reducing the distractions. So when you have set aside a chunk of time, turn off email notifications, turn off your Slack notifications so that you can focus and get work done. I think one big thing that I've learned and have put into practice is just, I don't need to be checking my email all day long. I don't need to respond to an email as soon as it comes in. That, it's okay to wait till the next morning to reply to that email, and take the time and not have to stop what I'm doing throughout the day.
And finally, part of becoming a freelancer these days is figuring out what tools and software you're going to use to keep your business organized and efficient. These are tools for invoicing, bookkeeping, time tracking, sending out contracts, automating stuff. There's pretty much tools for pretty much anything to run your business these days. Um, they can be really helpful in making you more productive and streamlined. They also can be really annoying and kind of be the bane of your existence if you get stuck with one that doesn't work well or doesn't fit your business well. And there's just so many. So kind of the last thing, I just put up a few examples there, but oftentimes in our meetups we compare notes on various tools that we're using. Sometimes someone will present a demo on a particular tool that's been very helpful for them, and we kind of get an idea of how it could help you in your business as you figure out the right combination of tools that works for you.
And so that's our presentation. That sort of is the broad overview. If any of these things, these topics interest you, you can find us on the first Thursday of every month. There are also all of our notes from our meetups are on the WP Seattle WordPress site. So I actually refer back to them all the time to like, oh, what was that thing that somebody mentioned? It's very handy. There's also Facebook group and Slack channel, to reach out to other people in the community. So thanks.